Greetings to all students. Today we are starting Unit 5, Poem 5, titled as A Legend of the Northland, written by Phoebe Cary. She was born on 4th of September 1824, somewhere in Ohio, America. Yes, she was an American poetess and the younger sister of Alice Cary, another poetess. Both these sisters co-published a collection of poems in 1849. Yes, now Alice, she died in 1871 due to tuberculosis, and Phoebe died 5 months later due to hepatitis. Both these poetess sisters were buried in Brooklyn, New York. Now, as the title suggests here, a legend of Northland. Another question that comes out is, what is a legend? A legend is a popular story from past which is believed by people, but it cannot be proven either right or wrong, whether it has taken place, its authenticity, its characters, whether they were there in past or not. Generally, such stories are told by people, from people of one generation to other and then yet another, and the generations to come, right? So you can say, yes, it is nothing but a folk tale. Now, A Legend of the Northland, written by Phoebe Cary, it is a ballad. What is a ballad? A ballad is a genre of poems that narrates a story. That means a poem that tells you a story. So, a story told by a song, a poem in English literature called a ballad. So, A Legend of Northland is nothing but a ballad. It is also a legend. This poem is a legend because, generally such stories leaves the audience with a moral or a good lesson for all of us to learn. This poem is also a legend. It is a legend about an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her excessive greed, her voracity, her insatiable hunger of materialistic things, which she refused to share with others. This poem is simple, very simple. It is written in a very simple language. Perhaps you may not need a teacher to teach you. It teaches us a moral that we should not be greedy. We must help the poor, the needy, and hungry people. You see, it is the only quality that differentiates us from animals, being human. So we should be compassionate towards those who are genuinely in need of our help, because only then we can become a perfect human being. By not parting with food to hungry Saint Peter, the old lady provoked his anger, who punished her by turning this lady into a woodpecker. So this is how woodpeckers have come into existence. So this is a folktale of how woodpeckers have come into existence, how they were born, right? Whether nobody knew such things have taken place, or not. But it is a legend, it is a folktale. Okay, so let's start without much ado. Let's go to the poem. Yes, A Legend of Northland. I am here on page number 65. Please keep your textbooks open or your PDF copy of poem. It's better you keep your textbooks before you and keep a pencil in case if you have to underline the difficult words, content words, phrases and the poetic devices also, right? Okay, this poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her excessive greed. Right, let's go to the first stanza. What does it say? Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. In the first stanza, the Northland refers to the North Pole area. Okay, let me show you the pictures. The Northland refers to the North Pole areas on this planet. These areas are in a very north and very south of the globe, as you can see. The two pole ends of the earth, right in the end of the earth. The northern polar region is called the Arctic. And in the south, the polar region is the continent of Antarctica. Yes. You can say the other polar regions. Now, how about the polar habitats, the residents there? They experience generally two seasons, summers and winters. But even summers are normally very cold there. You see, the temperature during summers is approximately 30 degrees Celsius, and during winters the temperature falls down as below as minus 30 degrees Celsius. You see, countries like Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Russia, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. They are all located in this North Pole area. Now, who are the residents? Yes, what sort of animals you find there? Look at the picture of the icy frozen land there, the ocean. Right. Who you can find there? Well, you can find polar bears, Arctic foxes, Arctic wolves, sea lions, walrus, seals, and the other types of whales. Yes, along with walrus, seals, and whales, we can also find lemmings, penguins, reindeers, and oxens. They are all found here. Now, when it comes to food, you see, they rely on frozen food and meat of fish and seal, and mostly the baked dishes. You see, not much vegetation is possible in this region, so you may not find pulses and grains and cereals and legumes and all, but what they rely on is the frozen food. You see, the duration of the day is very less because its location on the globe. When this area is experiencing harsh winter season, the duration of night is very long and the daytime becomes very less. So in the first stanza, in line 4, they refers to the people who live in this region, the residents. The poet says that the duration of the night time is so long that people cannot sleep through the night. If they go to bed, take few hours of sleep, and then they wake up, they still see it is night time. He wants to emphasize on the fact that the duration of the night is very long. Second stanza, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. Right, you see the repetition of words, funny, furry, the sound of F is repeated here. Okay, sledges, you all know, it's a type of a small cart which is pulled by reindeer, and especially in snowy areas kids love to ride those sledges. Yes, harness means to tie the reindeers with a rope to the sledge. They use this sledge cart even for transportation purpose also in polar regions, right? So what is said in this stanza? The Northland region experiences severe cold conditions. You see, it is a snowy area. You can see the icy rocks all around. The reindeer is an animal which is found in this region. Now people tie the reindeers to the sledges and then they pull the sledges. What he adds that the kids look like, especially the young ones, like those polar bear cubs, because they have to wrap themselves with the woolly clothes and the funny looking clothes, which makes them look like the furry skin of the bear. Let me show you a picture of it. Yeah, see, they look like very cute, funny bear cubs, you see, because of the cold. They have to protect themselves. Right. Okay, the third stanza. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe it is true. Tis is the word in Old Victorian English for it is. So it is true. And yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Right, curious here, that means strange. See, in line 1, they refers to the parents or elders, and them refers to those younger children, you see, or a younger generation children. The elders of, what is said in this stanza is, the elders of Northland region tell a strange yet interesting story to the younger generation. The poet says here that she does not think that the story is true, but if she tells the story to her readers, maybe the readers could learn a lesson from it. You see, because this story that she is going to tell through this poem is going to give an important message. Right, let's see what message is going to come out. Let's go to the fourth stanza. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching just as he did, Look at the rhyme scheme here. Below, no. So it is like A, B, C, B. You see the rhyme is A, B, C, B. Right. Or 1, 2, 3, 2. This is how the rhyme scheme is here. Saint Peter is one of the 9 disciples of Jesus Christ who roamed about earth preaching the holy teachings of the Holy Bible, right? So what is said here is the story is about, this story, what Phoebe is going to tell us is about Saint Peter when he used to live in this world and he went around the world, roamed about, giving religious lectures to people, and then some sort of incident took place, happened with him while he was roaming about. Okay, let's see what happened while he was traveling across the world. Let's go to stanza number 5. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Right. Hearth is, a sort of fireplace where you can do your baking activities. Right. When Saint Peter was moving round the world, giving religious lectures to people, he reached the door of a small cottage where he found a small woman was making cakes. Right. She was baking the cakes in the hearth, in the fireplace. Right. Next stanza. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. You see, in every second and the fourth line, the rhyme scheme is happening here. In the earlier stanza, it was earth, hearth. Yes, in this stanza, it is done, one. So, what is said in this stanza is faint here. That means somebody when feeling weak, famished due to lack of food or due to hunger. They are almost unconscious in the state, right? Okay, so as Saint Peter had not eaten anything for the entire day, perhaps he was roaming about doing the preaching of Bible, teaching people how they should lead their life. He was very hungry and he was feeling so weak. So he went to this woman who was baking cakes and he asked for one of the piece of it out of many cakes that she was baking. And let's see what had happened. He asked for food. That means a needy person has come to someone's doorstep who had accommodation, who had enough food to feed herself and to feed others also. Let's see this person who was privileged and really could afford to part with her food, whether she had given any crumb of food to Saint Peter or not. Let's go to the next stanza. Right, I'm here on page number 66. Right, stanza number 7. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. You see, this speaks of the woman's personality, her, characteristic. This woman was selfish, very greedy. This little miser woman, she did not give cake from her store. Instead, she started making a very small cake for Saint Peter. She did not want to share her cakes that she had already baked. But when she put the cake for baking, she kept on looking at it and thought that this cake was too big to be given to someone. You see, generally it happens when we have to give things away, those stingy people would put into small amount, even if they have to do the charity. But when they have to buy, they go for the bigger amount. That speaks of one's characteristic. Yes. Let's see in the next stanza, what did she do? Right. Once she baked a cake, she kept on looking at it. In stanza 7, she was unable to part with this smallest cake that she had. She wanted even smaller one than that. Right? Let's see what she did. In the next stanza, therefore she needed another and still a smaller one. But it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. You see, needed, that means she made the dough from the flour, the cake flour, the rising flour. See, this stingy woman thought that the cake was too big to be given away to anyone. So what did she do? She started making another smaller cake than the previous one. When she looked at the cake, she again felt that it was as big as the previous one. Again, she was not ready to give this smaller cake to Saint Peter. Oh my God. Look at this. In the next stanza, stanza 9. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer. But she couldn't part with that. Okay, this is the third trial of baking another cake for Saint Peter, for she had to give one to the needy. But because she was a miserly woman, very stingy, she could not be part even with the smallest and the thinnest, as thin as the wafer, the thinnest piece of cake, to hungry Saint Peter. Right. For now, she had 3 trials of baking the dough. First, second, and the last in stanza 9. You see, the third time she took a very small amount of dough and just rolled it till it became as thin as the wafer. The poetess says here that she rolled and rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin like wafer and baked it. But she was so greedy that she could not give that thinnest wafer-like cake to hungry Saint Peter. She couldn't part away with her bread. Right. In stanza 10, you see, she gives the reason. What reason she gives? For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away, so she put them on the shelf. Okay, look at this. This woman is excessively greedy and voracious. The thinnest wafer-like bread, she is unable to to give it to anyone. So what did she do? Instead of giving it to hungry, who has come to her doorstep, she put it back into the shelf. The woman reasoned that when she ate these cakes, she felt that it was not enough. It was too small to be eaten away by herself. But when she had to give it away to someone else, she felt that they were too big to be given away. She put all the cakes on the shelf of her kitchen, and she did not give any bread, any piece of cake to hungry and fainting Saint Peter, who was the disciple of Jesus Christ. Okay. Now, I think we should keep the poem till here. And in the next video, we will try to complete the poem and its question answers. I shall also be giving you your value-based question, right? So all of you, till then I want you all to keep learning and ponder over this thing, that if you have enough with you, should you share it with others, especially those who are needy, or not? Try to ponder over this during your leisure time, okay? And we shall discuss about it in our live session. Keep learning then. Thank you very much.